the end of the internet, and it's it's something that I have experienced, but I have never seen written out like this before. And tell me if this is your experience as well. That like Google has just turned to complete ass. Like I get garbage when I'm looking for things, and it might not have been an article. It might have been like a Reddit post about an article, but there was a guy in there talking about like, yeah, it turns out like there will be like 30 legitimate results for the thing you're looking for, and the majority at the beginning are just garbage sponsorships, and like it will be a lot of like spam links, and then you end up with basically just derivatives of everything that you've already seen throughout the end of it. There's no like substance or depth to the results you get. And his argument was that it's because so much or like you'll end up with just like clearly like AI written articles like everywhere, and that it was getting to the point where everything, it is so easy to fabricate or manufacture versions and derivatives of everything without you using any real manpower, having a computer do it, having AI generate all of this stuff, that it's getting to the point where this like golden age of the internet, where there's all this interconnectivity, is actually turning into there is so much of everything there that isn't real, that it kind of feels like it's a waste of time. And he went on this thing about like when I'm trying to find information on the internet now, I have to type in what I would have searched before, followed by Reddit. And then I have to find a Reddit post about it, find someone talking about it, and they will have a source. I can't find it naturally myself. I end up with just like garbage blog posts about things that I don't even think were written by humans. And it's just fascinating. And I think you're seeing the same thing with like podcasts becoming so big. Is there substance to it? Like people know it's genuine. It's not like just written text. I don't even know who wrote it. And I wanted to package all of that together, but I really just fixated on that. But I'll close with one last piece, which is another post I saw about in that same vein. Do you remember? Maybe not. I don't think I got a lot of it. Maybe about the internet, but not social media. But like, I know I've seen parents be worried about this. Like the internet is scary. Like we got to protect our kids from it. Like social media, we have like we'll limit what you can do and see and whatever. And I feel like I grew up kind of in that, and now I'm like genuinely worried about my parents and like social media and news and the internet. Not them necessarily specifically, although sometimes my mom will send me Facebook links for like news where I'm like, this is like, this is fake, right? Uh, and I don't think they do. I don't think it's almost like you have. I'm like trained it in parts of school to be like intentionally critical as a listener of certain things, uh, and that applies to the things that are coming from people who you want to listen to. And I don't think that that existed because there wasn't as much just like fraud in information 40 years ago. And so I'm
Yeah.
sitting here like my mom's scrolling Facebook all the time.
Yep.
Or, I almost want to say that whole boomer generation is exposed to way more fraud than we were at their age, when they're just as new to social media as we are, if anything newer. And then you add on top of it that like just AI is just exponentially increasing how much stuff is fabricated. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh man, I hope some like AI voice modulator doesn't call my parents pretending to be me, saying that I'm kidnapped and asking for $10,000 or something. Like, I don't know. It's a weird perspective. Is it the end of the internet? I don't know.
That's interesting to think about. Um, yeah, I don't think I use the internet as much as you do, but I do think like you make a lot of good points. Especially when I think about the older generations and how they use the internet, and I do think it's really scary. I see things that um, it takes me a second, like to realize, like, oh, that's not a real person. That's an AI generated
Yeah.
image, you know. Or I what I start to see a lot of now is like videos of Elon Musk talking to on a
Oh man.
podcast, but really, and it's his voice. But like if you're, especially sometimes when you're scrolling, you're not really zoned in. You're like, oh, like you don't catch right away that this is a voiceover. That's not really what he said in the moment. Um, there are times where I try to find like what are the interest rates, like what would this theoretical mortgage payment look like, and all I get are ads like people trying to get me to use their
Oh
service.
yeah,
Like it's
dude.
very hard for me to get to what I want, and I almost have to sign up with an email list or something. I
Hmm.
don't I haven't gotten to the point where I'm getting AI generated documents, I don't think. But I don't, and my whole life I never looked past page 1. And I'm not a
Yeah.
big
Oh
Reddit
really,
user. No.
dude?
Like if it's not the first like 5 articles, I don't. I just retype my Google. Like I'm just like, let me ask the question in a different way and see what the next 5 are, but I don't
Yeah.
go farther down. Um
It's like for you to have quality content, it has to be like paid.
yeah, I do love what I love about podcasts are um there's people that don't want to go on. I don't know. I'm not really into the whole dog and pony show with like the Tonight Show. I never watched any of
Nice.
that stuff my whole life. I didn't care about the funny stuff. Like my parents would watch it, so I kind of know what it is. But
Yeah.
and I
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't do Saturday Night Live, even though if I ever watch it, it's funny. But like people that are really big famous celebrities, or sometimes it's just somebody that's like super, maybe they're not a celebrity but they're an expert in a field that would never, you wouldn't have had access to their opinions with a video before. Now they go on podcasts and they talk
Hmm.
about interesting shit, and it's like, oh, I actually am interested in what Matt Damon, he's giving a, like he's talking about, I saw something with Matt Damon eating hot wings and talking about like
Yeah.
how back in the day, there was the movie going to the theaters, and then there was like a second thing that actors would get paid when the movie would come out on DVD, and the actor would get
Right.
like
Right.
part of that money. And he talks about how like that caused actors to do certain types of movies because they knew that they would get paid a second time with the DVD, but now that doesn't happen. So he's like, well, it's 100% relies on the theater ticket sales, and if it's not gonna, in there's research that shows like it's either got to be like an indie, or it's got to be like Avengers Endgame, or it's not going to make money in the
Yeah.
theaters, and so you don't get these kind of movies anymore. And that type of insight, I feel like, only comes out on a podcast platform where somebody just basically asks. The person doing the interview is so over the moon glad that Matt Damon's on their podcast. They're basically like, whatever you want to talk about's fine, and they ask a simple question, and Matt Damon says whatever he wants. You know,
Yeah.
and so I do love that about podcasts, where like people will go on and they'll talk about their lives, they'll talk about really insightful things that we would never get, and the way that media used to be, you know. So I do like podcasts. AI is new for me and very scary, but I've started to use it. Like I use it for doing my
Ooh.
podcast, and I'm loving it. It's like my little friend. I think of it like CP3PO, and I'm like, I just have like a little buddy that helps me with like everything that I do now.
I think of
So
it like Jarvis from like Iron Man, except he's an idiot. I'm like, do
yeah,
this, and then he does it, and I'm like, that's stupid, that's wrong. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and then he just does it again, and I'm like, you're just doing the same thing and acting like it's different. I hate you.
yeah,
Uh, but but yeah, I mean, it's here to stay. It's just weird because it's easy to think of it as text generation, but it's responsible for a lot of other things and the image fakes. Man, that's hard enough, but it's getting better really fast. It's the voice that
yeah. The
that
voice is
is
scary.
really scary.
Um, I do think what you're saying though, like I haven't thought of, but if AI starts like, I think people are using AI and they're creating Instagram accounts that are blowing up, and they're
Oh
basically not
yeah.
doing any work. Like they're just like using AI for every step of the way, and the AI is actually making the video.
Hmm.
or making the picture or whatever. And so if AI gets to the point where like an AI is writing an article based on an article that an AI wrote, and then the AI is posting that article and the human's not really doing anything, well, eventually it's like the original article might have had false information in it, no one fact checked it, and there isn't any thought in it, like human thought about what are the consequences of me saying this. And like 5 steps down the line, people perceive it as fact when really like no one's fact checking it and it's just wrong. And then all the articles, like you're saying, like 10 years down the road, if you just kept going like to page 15, all the articles would basically be the same because they were all written
Yeah.
based off of each other. So yeah, that's
Right,
a
right,
big
right,
issue.
right. Yeah. It's crazy because it's like this used to be you have access to so much stuff. And now it's like you have access to so much fake stuff. So you might as well have access to nothing.
I think you use the internet though for like your job a lot, and I don't use the
Yeah.
internet really for my job. So I'm just like, well, I'm, having a conversation about something or I'm curious about something and it's pretty black and white. Like, when did this happen?
I I don't hit a lot of roadblocks with legal research because it's you have to give your authority for it, and the authorities are official, right? But a lot of times you want to find commentary to help flesh it out, and the commentary might sound really persuasive and be just an opinion, and it's true. It's true in a lot of fields. I've seen it a few times to the point where I know this is there, but I can imagine it being much more problematic for other people.
I just love that I can be like, hey, write me a YouTube playlist description. I'm going to make 10 videos based on this and pull in information you find popular on the internet about this topic. And like the description I get happens in a second and it's way better than anything I could have ever written. And it's got stuff in there that I didn't even know. And like,
Yeah.
so
Well, it's
therefore,
because it made it up. Yeah.
well, but I mean, it's probably pulling it from something on the internet. And I don't know. I mean, it might be true, it might be wrong, but like it looks right, and
Yeah,
like
that's the crazy thing is it's not always pulling it from something off the internet. It sometimes is literally just fabricating details.
that's crazy to me. Like I don't know how it can do that, but
Well, it's got like an anticipatory what would this answer look like? Okay, now you just got to be really strict with it and telling it what parameters it's allowed to use. There was a lawyer that got in a lot of trouble for using ChatGPT for some kind of brief, and it had just made up a bunch of cases that didn't exist.